All right, we are ready to move on to the next session, and I'm happy to introduce the moderator of the discussion, How Business Creates Technologies for the Cities, Sonia Elterman, Media Director of Strelka Institute. Hello, everyone. Sveta, thank you for giving me the floor. Yes, we are going to have a discussion today, and the name of it is How Business Creates Technologies for the Cities. I believe that today we have 4 persons who are not afraid to implement technologies, them and the big cities, in becoming more sustainable. So to move in the direction that we are talking about in this conference. And actually we are talking about the new governance of urban processes. I'm happy to introduce our speakers to you. Artyom Sedov, Director General, Bolshaya Troyka; Polina Shimanchuk, leading expert Center of Unmanned Aviation System Technologies, Gazprom Neft; Artur, Khasiyatullin, CEO TraceAir in Russia; and Olavi, Siikki, technological entrepreneur, co-founder of the company PowerPlace and founder of WARMR. And my name is Sonia. So, dear listeners, please don't forget that during our discussion you can send your questions, and our moderators will catch the questions, hand them over to me, and I will ask the questions to the speakers at the end of the presentations. So the presentations will last for 10 minutes, and then we are going to have a discussion. Artyom, we will start with you. So Artyom Sedov, I would like to introduce you, the Director General and founder of the company Bolshaya Troyka, PhD of Technical Science. Bolshaya Troyka is a company resident of Skolkovo, specializing on the development of software for digital recycling of waste. All right. Hello, dear colleagues, it's great that we have gathered together this beautiful evening. If you do not mind, I will switch between the systems and between the presentation. I think it will be more comfortable for us to show you what I'm talking about and what effects you can achieve with the help of it. As it was already mentioned, we are involved in digitalization of environment and the digitalization of waste recycling. I would like to speak about several things. Digitalization started for us in 2015. So a breakthrough, a world breakthrough happened here in Russia in terms of the municipal solid waste, and I will show you how you can manage it not only at the level of the city, entity, region, or the whole country. Actually, you can do it all with the help of digital technologies and what kind of profit and effect you can reach when using such technologies. But the main thing, we need to start from the point of view of digital technologies. In order to digitalize the process, you need to describe it. And as far as the description of the process is concerned, in 2016, we started to develop an electronic model. Electronic model is like a twin. That is a buzzword used today. So this twin allows you to describe what happens in the industry, not only this year, but also in 2021, 22, 23, and for 15 years to come. So you can say what objects of the infrastructure, like the landfill, for example, will be needed will be needed for the region, will have to be constructed, also analyzes a lot of data and calculates places where you will get most economic effect. Speaking about the economic effect, then in 2019, and at the beginning of 2019, it's 10 billion rubles, with the help of digital technologies. So now I would like to show you how it all works. This model is created, the calculations are made in real-time mode. We can check where the car is driving, what this car is bringing, with what companies this transportation company has a contract with, and we exclude cases when the car leaves the route to put the waste to the illegal landfill. We have calculated routes, and we have green routes to check how actually the trucks are going. And so actually we can check what happens along the route from point A to point Z. This is what happened before the introduction of trucks. So this place was cleaned at 6:45 a.m. That was how it looked like before the truck arrived. This is how it looked like when the truck arrived. The containers were cleaned, and the car also cleaned the territory around the containers. So you can see that there's information about the companies who paid. And in addition to an ability to control and track, I showed you an example of one of the trucks. You can choose another car, like this one, for example, and you can check how it behaves and where it is. There are more than 10,000 of cars like that in the system, so I have chosen the city of Chernipovets. Here you can see different sites and containers. If a problem happens or an accident, then the information gets uploaded to the system. In addition to that, we would like to tell you that sensors are installed at container sites right on top of containers, and the sensors work like that. If the container is more than 80% full, then this automatic sensor can make the measurement of each 10%, then the truck will go there. If the container is not 80% filled, there's no need for a truck to go there. So in Novgorod region, we installed such sensors, and here you can see a site, for example. There are two containers. One has a sensor, one without a sensor, and this container is 50% full. You can have a look at another site with containers. So we managed to save additional 240 million rubles for the region. It's a digital solution that allows not only to receive accurate information where the trucks are and how tariffs are developed, but it also allows to decrease the cost of the tariff. Plus, the last thing that I would like to show you is the following. We can control the situation at the level of the region or the city, but we can also monitor the situation at the level of the country. What happens in Vladivostok? So in Vladivostok, the morning is approaching. Our colleagues will wake up soon, and we can check what happens there, what container sites exist there, where the trucks arrived, to what sites the trucks arrived, how much waste was taken. So here you can see that it's definitely Primorsky region, because the trucks are definitely from Asia. And this is how you can check the situation in different regions of Russia. And the final thing, which I find really interesting from the point of control and optimization. You might think that everything is fine, but at the same time, you ask yourself a question. If we speak about savings, then what person can get can get an advantage. So that was why we started a platform. Here you can get not some kind of eco scores that you have to replace and change, but you can get real money, real rubles. This is the project From Words to Actions. It will soon appear in different cities of Russia. You can go to the website. You can write down the amount of secondary resources. If it's not much of them, then it's about 10 or 15 rubles, but you can get about 1,000 or 1,500 rubles on the platform if a regular person from a family of two people will bring the resources for recycling, like plastic, for example, and they can take this money or they can use this money for charity activities. The project has a lot of partners that are involved in professional charity. So we will simply send the money to the charity organizations. That's it. I'm here and I'm ready to answer your questions. It's important to understand that environment is an important topic, and waste might think that it's a dark industry, but nowadays, frankly speaking, if we have a look at utilities, then waste is actually at the front line. It's more advanced than energy and heating supply.
Артем, спасибо большое за это выступление. Я надеюсь, мы еще сегодня успеем поговорить. И я надеюсь, что наши слушатели...
I hope that we'll have more time to speak, and I believe that our listeners are contemplating on the questions that they could ask to Artyom. We'll do that as soon as we will listen to all of the remaining speakers for this particular part of the session. So, let us continue. I'm happy to welcome Polina Shimanchuk, the leading experts of the Center of the Drone Technologies from Gazprom Neft. Since 2018, Polina has been actively improving the situation in Geoscan, in Gazprom Neft, processing the data of aerophoto shooting. She also creates the first master's program on the security of drone flights. She is the major expert at Gazprom Neft in charge of drone systems. Polina, flying drones, I mean. Yes, good evening. Sonia, thank you so much for the intro. Could you please let me know whether you can see my presentation? Yes, you can. As that has been said, I am the leading expert on the use of drones in Gazprom Neft. And I will be telling you today about what a drone is and how particularly we apply them to the activities of our company. And I do believe that by the end, you will understand that this is quite a useful tool. Also, we shall consider how this technology is helping business and how business can use it for its particular objectives. And then I will hand over the floor to the speaker, who will be telling in more detail about a particular case, exciting case on how we're using drones in the city.
Для начала давайте зададимся вопросом, что же такое беспилотник и чем он ценен.
So, what's the value of a drone? Well, the first thing you think about when you hear a word drone, you imagine the drones that kids get for New Year's, the quadcopters to play around, and all of the grown-up boys want to have that one. This helicopter model that many people play with, also a drone, naturally. And the major association is a drone is something that you can use to film a beautiful landscape over St. Petersburg or Moscow, or you can use a drone to make very beautiful photos from your latest trip to the sea. But it's much more than that, much more exciting than that. In our company, we consider a drone as a number of different components and configurations. Let me tell about a number of them. First of all, a drone is a carrier. A drone is a carrier is a cargo carrier, but it's, again, more than that. There are different types of cargo carriers: multi-rotary, the plane, and the hybrid. And they are used for a number of diverse tasks. Every certain drone is particularly suitable for a number of tasks. The multi-rotor drone is more suitable for very particular object filming. The plane-type drone is needed when we are filming a very large territory, for example, a new particular mining plot. Hybrid drone puts together the advantages of both plane drone and multi-rotor drone, and it's used for, again, a different type of works. Another component that we consider when we discuss the drone is, of course, the ability, the weight of cargo that it is capable to carry. In addition to a camera, a photo, video camera, a drone can carry pretty much anything. So the payload is very important here. For example, you can attach a laser scanner, an aerial laser scanner particularly developed for a drone. Also, it may be some special sort of camera for agricultural tasks. That may be a thermal vision camera to search for people or to monitor some temperature leaks. Also, you can load the drone to do geological research, which we again do. And let's not forget the software part. To mention, in addition to geological exploration, a drone is naturally a PC. It's a computer that you need to control and need to program. So you need the drone operator. There's actually a pilot to a drone. It's just not on board. And that pilot needs a special piece of software that will help to set the drone up and program the flight task to the drone, so the drone would be able to execute it automatically. Another big block is data processing and analytics. Everything that we get from a drone filming is only essential and valuable if we can analyze it and extract some sort of data. So the drone is naturally a large complex that is a tool for quick collecting and processing of geospatial data. These data has geographical ties to the real life space, so they can use this data to solve a number of tasks. So let's consider the technology from this standpoint, and I hope that you will be doing it as well. So the major stages of working with drone are including a number of components: flight, data collection, data processing, and analytics and interpretation of data. It's generally considered that working with a drone is only flying a drone, that it's the main thing, the main part. That's not exactly true. We highlight about 20% of activities, that is a flight. 80% of remaining drone activities, drone-related activities, are data processing and getting the benefit out of data, squeezing maximum out of the data. So we have considered the drones. Let's talk about their advantages. Our company has made an analysis of how the drones can be useful to us. For that, we have been able to highlight a number of advantages. For example, low prime costs. So the tasks that were executed by a person now can be executed by a drone, and the execution of those works is much cheaper. Therefore, a drone helps us to economize quite a lot of money. Another thing is that we get the data very quickly. A human collects data much longer compared to a drone. If we need to get some special info on the object, we can make a flight in a number of days, 1 or 2 or 3 days of a flight, and get processed data, again, within a day or two. Therefore, we get a ton of information in a very brief period of time. Another thing that I've mentioned already briefly is that the payload is pretty high. So the big advantage of a drone is that you can attach pretty much anything to a drone. drone.
Ну и, конечно,
And by all means,
главным преимуществом
the major advantage of the drone is the fact that it can be launched anywhere. It can be used in any way you like because it doesn't need, well, a runway if we compare it to the plane.
достаточно прост в использовании.
And it's easy to use. I mean,
проводится очень много где в
there
разных
are many
компаниях, и,
institutions that teach to
можно
fly a
научиться
drone, and you can easily learn to do
беспилотникам,
that
если есть такое желание.
if you want to.
Таким образом, беспилотник
So,
уменьшает трудозатраты
the
на
drone
различные виды
reduces
работ,
costs to execute a lot of
повышает
industrial tasks.
какую-то достоверность и
It
объективность получаемых данных, потому что данные аэрофотосъемки
increases the
можно
precision of
получить.
data because it's very hard to fraud the data of aerial photo shooting. And it's much easier to get that data. Now let us consider how that data is used in our company. As a matter of fact, we have been able to highlight about 80 scenarios of drone application.
Меньше чем за 2 года
In less than 2 years, we have implemented 13 out of them, and here they are on a slide. Let us talk in a bit more detail about a number of them.
Например, про
For
мониторинг
example,
трубопроводов.
let's talk about the
Сейчас
pipeline
этот кейс,
monitoring.
в большинстве случаев используется в
This
нашей
case
компании.
is widely used in our company these days.
На самом деле уже на 2019
As a matter of
год
fact, in 2019,
60% трубопроводов
60% of our pipelines were monitored by a
Что можно
drone.
делать в
So what can
данном
we
кейсе?
do?
Во-первых, можно
Here?
идентифицировать разливы нефти.
First of all, we can identify
Это
oil
происходит
spills.
очень
That is
быстро.
happening very quickly, by the
К
way, with the
сожалению, такие
drone.
вещи случаются,
And the
что
spills
это
are happening,
рискованно.
and you cannot avoid
Конечно,
them.
мы стремимся к тому, чтобы такого
It
не
goes without
возникало.
saying that we're
Однако в
trying to
случае,
avoid them
если
as much as we can.
внезапно
But
это
if suddenly
случилось,
that
у
happens,
нас есть достаточно
we
большое
have
количество
a
средств
number
для того,
of
чтобы максимально оперативно
tools
устранить
to
разлив
react
нефти.
quickly.
И беспилотники являются в этом
And
основными
the
помощниками.
drones are essential to that.
Также мы мониторим большое
Also,
количество
we have
объектов
been monitoring a number of
трубопроводов,
objects
и
around the
здесь на слайде
pipeline.
приведен
And on
пример
the slide here, you can see the example of how
нейросети,
the
которая
neural
распознает,
network
например, технику,
identifies
которая работает рядом с
vehicles
трубопроводом,
around the
либо
pipeline,
людей,
or
которые
people,
работают
or
на нефти.
buildings.
То есть таким образом
And
также
therefore,
контролируется
it is
выполнение
possible to
определенных
control
инспекционных работ на
the execution
трубопроводе.
of inspectional works
Ну
at
и,
the
конечно,
pipeline.
это
And
большое
also,
количество
we should not forget the
фиксации
large number
отклонений
of
и прогнозирования различных
sort of
нарушений.
maintenance tasks,
Это необходимо делать для
prevention
того, чтобы,
measures
во-первых,
as well,
не происходили разливы
so that we
нефти,
would avoid the
а
oil spills,
во-вторых,
the
для того,
aforementioned
чтобы
oil spills.
сэкономить время
And
на
that also allows
устранение
us to save some time
таких вещей.
to
Соответственно, беспилотники также в этом
fix
основные
the problems
помощники.
if they are to happen.
Также мы используем беспилотники очень активно
We have
для
also been using the
геологоразведки.
drones quite
Например,
actively
мы
for
прикрепляем
geological
магнитометр.
exploration. For
Магнитометр
example,
это такой
we can attach the
инструмент,
magnetometer,
который
a
измеряет
tool that
магнитное
measures
поле Земли.
the magnetic field of the
И
Earth.
с помощью него мы ищем различные геологические
It helps
неоднородности
us
в
to
осадочном
find
тепле,
different
что нам помогает
geological
определить, может
substances.
быть нефть или нет. Также мы проводим различные
Particularly, we can
планирование
identify oil in the sedimentary
планирование исследований
sheath,
территории как раз-таки также с
sedimentary
помощью этого
cover.
инструмента. Таким образом, мы
So,
сокращаем количество времени, которое необходимо на освоение, например, нового
it
распределенного участка.
cuts the amount of time to
Также
actually exploring the new
совсем
plot
недавно
where
мы
we allowed
реализовали
to
достаточно
mine.
интересный кейс.
We have
Это всеми
recently
любимая
implemented a
доставка
very
с
curious
помощью
case,
беспилотника.
drone delivery.
Наши результаты
You know it,
оказались
but
значительно успешнее,
our
чем
results,
у
which
Почты
were
России,
much more successful compared
всеми
to
общепринятыми.
Russian postal
Поэтому
service.
давайте я
Therefore,
расскажу об этом чуть подробнее.
let
У
me
нас
talk
есть
about it in a bit more detail.
месторождение на одном
We have
берегу
this
реки Иртыш и лаборатория,
mining
куда нужно
facility at
доставлять
the bank of the
нефть на
Irtysh
другом
River,
берегу реки
and we need to
Иртыш.
deliver the
Оперативно
samples of oil to the
можно это
different bank of the
доставить.
Irtysh River.
Можно доставить
And
пробу
we
нефти между
can,
объектами
of
только в
course,
зимний период.
cross the river
Когда на реке
quickly
Иртыш стоит
only
лед,
in winter
когда
when
лед
the river is
сходит,
covered with
переправа
ice.
очень
When
далеко,
there's no
и
ice,
время на доставку
it takes a
значительно
very long
увеличивается до
time to
нескольких
cross the
дней.
river because the crossing
Решили
spot
использовать
is very
беспилотник для этих
far.
целей, и он показал очень хороший
The
результат.
passage is very
Таким
far.
вот
So we
образом это
decided to use a
выглядит, как
drone.
на фотографии на
Here's
слайде.
what we got. It looks like this.
Соответственно, очень успешно был выполнен этот проект, и дальше
The
будет
success of this
реализован.
project was very significant, and we're going to continue with that.
Таким тоже наиболее интересным кейсом у нас относится такой дрон-шеринг, так сказать. То есть
Another thing that
работает
we
как
suggest is
каршеринг. Вы
drone
можете,
sharing,
взять
like car
любой
sharing.
беспилотник,
You can
который
take a
находится рядом
drone,
с вами, Если вам необходимо выполнить
Get a drone
авиационную
nearby if you need to do some aerial
с помощью
tasks.
специальной системы
With a
диспетчеризации
special
заявку
system of
и выполняйте
dispatching,
полеты.
you apply for a
Это
task and you
работает
execute the
примерно
flight.
таким образом.
So
Пока только
here's how it
для
working. Here's how it
контура, то
works.
есть это Газпромнефть и дочерние
It
общества.
only works for
Но
Gazprom, Neft, and its
также
branches.
достаточно интересная система, и она может быть использована для очень большого количества различных задач.
But you can use this not only for affiliated companies, you can use it for a number of tests, not only delivery and geological exploration. Your only limitation is your imagination, because you can attach anything to a drone. So let's sum up. Drone is a complex system which helps quickly get the data. It helps cut the costs to execute a number of industrial tasks, and therefore we have also considered how the drones help us to, in the places where there is no way to travel there, because mostly the objects that are observed by drone are in some far-fetched regions. So let's talk about how drones can help when there's everything. The infrastructure, the city is there. For that, I would like to hand over the floor to the next speaker. Artur, please. Polina, thank you. I will just quickly take the floor as long as Artur is connecting. Let me briefly tell about the TraceAir, the company that Artur represents. TraceAir is a web platform to control the construction based on the drone data. This is a service to regularly create 3D copies of the construction venues with the use of drone visual information. That is the combination of 3D copy of the venue with the project documentation. Artur will tell about in more detail about that, and I would like to remind to our audience that you can ask questions on the chat, and we will take those questions and transfer them to the speakers. Artur, please. Yes, friends. Hello there. Let me turn my presentation on, please.
Видно? Начинаю тогда.
Okay, let me begin. TraceAir, indeed, is a company that was one of the first ones to use drones as sensors to deliver some value. In the company, I am a CEO for Russia, and it's my job to make it happen on a daily basis so that our business feels ever better in this very complex industry. So what is TraceAir? TraceAir is a platform to control the construction with drone and machine learning. In other words, to put it simply, this is like a computer game. We actually analyze the construction site as a map in a computer game. Any participant of the construction process can interact based on this map and use it in any convenient time and place, as long as there is a connection to the internet. So here's the life cycle of a construction project. Everything begins with design, then it continues to groundwork, digging, and it includes a lot of tasks. MEP, the groundwork, foundation, then vertical construction, then urban improvement around. So we're mostly helping with groundwork. So these black stages, black stakeholders like owner, major constructor, could get more use out of the drones. Why groundwork? It's about 20% of a budget of any construction, and it's 100% of a stress. If you make a mistake at the land, at the groundwork stage, the whole project goes to the dumps. That's why the general contractors, constructors are exceptionally nervous about solving that sort of problem. So that leads us to either interruption of construction or it's extra cost. And there's so much money spent because of this poor coordination at the groundwork stage. So only 10% of the members of the construction crew have access to the data about the construction site. And those are mostly engineers and designers who have like Bentley, Autodesk software, they have a powerful computer, and they can answer to any question. Yes, they're ready to help with the problem, but like in 5 days. And then those people who have a problem, they have a crossroads. Either waiting, which is an interruption of construction, or guesswork, which is very risky, which is intuitive decision-making based on previous experience. And that's in many ways a reason for an error. So we thought that it would be cool to establish a platform that could be accessible to all of the 100% of stakeholders of the project, but yet accessible to those who do not have super powerful computer at hand. It should be a simple platform like TraceAir to just connect online and use it right away. And we've been able to make it happen. So how does it work? We take the data from the drone, the reality naturally, and we put it together with the designs of the project, with the model of the project. And there are regular flights of the drones, and based on the information from the flight, the model is being compared to the reality. Therefore, it is possible to identify errors on the construction site. So it's possible to make decisions very quickly, concluding the projects on time, and there's unified information bank for the entire construction team. And there are answers to the questions there at any time of day. Yes, it's a complex project because it's the magic of precision and the magic of simplicity. This data need to be accessible to all of the members of the team. That's why we have been re-releasing projects many times. We update the release every 2 weeks for the 6 years since the platform has been launched. At the moment, we're working at 2 markets, the Russia and the US. We are covering 22 states in the US at the moment, mostly focused on residential development. In Russia, we mostly assist industrial construction. We're also present in infrastructure, in civic infrastructure. Probably I should also mention a number of actual examples. So that my conclusions are not unfounded. I would like to give a case of the construction together with a company called Morton, who were building these residential neighborhoods, and we have actually helped the company to economize 28 million rubles. With the Capital Group, that was a different sort of case. This is the project about evaluation of investment attractiveness of the territory before construction. That is the alternative to traditional geological exploration. We saved quite a lot of time there because instead of 1 out of 30 days that were suggested by the Geoexploration Service, we've been able to do the thing in 1 day at a fraction of a cost. So we've been able to economize here up to 2 million rubles. In terms of infrastructure construction, I would like to talk about the project called M12. That is the highway from Moscow to Kazan, and TraceAir can systematically control the quality of the road. So, of course, that saves a lot of time. It's easy to compare the plan to the actual reality and quickly make decisions together with the general contractor. A few cases of industrial construction. ZAB-SIB-2 project, one of our first big industrial objects, we have been able to submit this object ahead of schedule 2 months earlier, which just never happens. Ahead of schedule, it never happens. Another interesting applications for the mining chemical facility at Amursky. There were different options for the master plan, and they have been able to select the best master plan thanks to our data before the construction, therefore economizing 180 million rubles. Drones, in addition to everything, are eco-assistants. One of our reasons to be proud is that we're not only doing business, we're also trying to help the planet. Together with Nornickel, we have been participating in the Northern program. The objective of the program is this. In 5 years, Nornickel needs to cut the CO2 emissions in Norilsk by 90%. TraceAir, right now, for over a year, has been helping to conclude this project on time. There are over 40 venues for air monitoring and automated control of risks for ecological disasters, so that it's preventive maintenance. Another interesting application case is monitoring of the junkyards, together with Novi Svet company, not far, by the way, from the place where we were planning to come together with the Strelka Institute, not far from St. Petersburg. They are very actively applying the toolkit there to keep the junkyard within defined borders. And to prevent erosions. This is another interesting story of drone application. In addition, I would like to share, since we are doing the overview here, I would like to tell how in China, Brasilia, Australia, and South Africa, they are actually applying the norms of nature preservation. Australia, the monitoring of pests helps to prevent the mass use of herbicides, to find problematic spots and hit them in particular. In South Africa and Botswana, they're trying to fight the illegal hunting. Dear friends, therefore I guess I will conclude. Thank you for your attention. And in the end of the session, I will be happy to answer your questions.
Thank you, Artur. After your presentation and the presentation by Polina, the idea of how drones can be useful for regular urban environment simply bring us to unbelievable world. Well, we gave you cases about using drones in regular environments. We first tried to deliver coffee in Gorky Park. Then we understood it's not possible to earn money, and then we moved to construction sites. Hopefully, we'll have time to speak about it. I received questions from the audience, and I'm happy about it. That is actually the last chance for you to send questions to our speakers. Please do it right in the chat of our live broadcast, or you can ask your questions after the presentation of the fourth speaker, Olavi Siikki. Olavi Siikki is a technological entrepreneur, co-founder of Power Place company. It's the development of intellectual or smart charging stations. The founder of WARMR technological platform of IT solutions, and is a graduate of the university in Finland, focusing on engineering in electronics, and the graduate of master degree in ITMO. Thank you very much for introducing me. Yes, I wanted to tell you briefly about such a thing as the infrastructure of charging stations in Russia. Hopefully, you can see and hear me well. If everything is fine, I will start. And I would like to start with the idea that it's not a secret that the world has a trend to have electric cars in the world. And it's actually not only about private cars, but also about trucks, but transportation in general. We can also speak about the development of sharing of scooters, bikes, and other means of transportation. And we shall not forget about drones, what my colleagues were talking about. We shouldn't also forget about different devices that will be used in the nearest future in our world. And if you want it or not, but you need to charge it all. So we are going to speak now about the market of electric vehicles. Many companies now reject to use internal combustion engines, so we will have to move to electric cars completely or partially. And in order to ensure such a transition, we need an infrastructure which is supported by the agencies of the government. So 420 billion rubles will be used by the Ministry of Economic Development till 2030 for the development of such of electric vehicle infrastructure. About 12% of the vehicles, cars will be replaced by electric cars in the nearest future. So what are the perspectives for the future for the market of electric vehicles in Russia? Now on the streets of our cities, there are more than 12.5 thousand electric vehicles. So this is the data for the beginning of 2021. It has started to grow very much over the last year. The growth of the market is plus 71 degrees. The Russian manufacturers of buses and cars also started to participate in the race and started to produce electric cars and different means of transportation. All the facts demonstrate that there will be more and more electric vehicles, cars and trucks on the streets of the cities. As for the infrastructure of the charging station in Russia, it's a pain point for now. Currently in Russia, there are more than 1.5 charging stations in Russia, but usually they charge really slowly. We really feel the lack of faster charging stations. There are only about 100 of them in Russia. And speaking about large transportation vehicles like buses or trucks, it is only possible to charge them with fast charging stations. There is just no other way around. It's not possible to wait for 13 hours till a truck is charged or a bus is charged. It's too too much load for the logistics infrastructure. So it's necessary to increase the speed of the charging stations so that they can charge the vehicles much faster. Now let me tell you a few words about the global market. The market is huge. It accounts for $12 billion. In Russia right now, it accounts for about 815 million rubles. Well, if you have a look at the international experience, then you will understand that about 40% growth of charging stations is required in the nearest future. As for the product that we produced, our company is called PowerPlace, and currently we are creating a platform of charging stations, not only fast charging stations, but also slow charging stations. We develop independently various power modules that can transfer quite a big amount of energy within a short period of time. We can control the charging, and that is the brain of the charging station, which is really significant for it. It can also take the information from the electric cars, process it, and analyze what happens with the car, how it behaves, and then how we can analyze how users and companies use automatic car or electric cars. Right. So I would like to tell you that if we speak about fast charging stations, then you understand that it's not required for comfortable traveling. You cannot wait till any means of transportation get charged on the highway. There is a global problem now in Russia that there's not enough charging station on the highway. In the cities it's possible, but on the highways it's not possible. So to resolve the problem, we use green energy. Together with our Nadi company, we are now developing a complex where there is a charging station, and at the same time there is a module which is a wind generator. Inside of the container there's power electronics, accumulators are also placed there. This kind of station can work in the conditions of limited capacity, and it can charge various means of transportation on the highway. A few words about our project. We became the winners of competitions, and we were part of various accelerates where our technology was developed, and now we are ready to provide our technologies to companies or integrate them into the infrastructure of the cities. Our team is small. There are 4 persons there. All of them have wide experience in the sphere of IT, electronics, or technologies. We are a small team, as I told you, but we managed to develop quite complicated technologies that are going to be used in the streets of our cities. So here is my contact information. If you're interested in the topic, please feel free to contact me, and I will be happy to answer your questions if our distinguished audience has any questions to me. Olavi, thank you very much, and thank you for covering important issues briefly. We now have 10 minutes left for Q&A session. So now we have time to answer the questions coming from the audience, and I also have a couple of questions to you. So I would like to start our discussion. The first question is to Artyom. Artyom, what about the recycling of construction waste in Russia? Could you please give us a top-level view about the topic? How would you comment on it? Well, for now, there's nothing good I can tell you about it. About 3 months ago, we launched a project Smart Waste, that is the name of it, and it will allow to bring the order to the recycling of construction waste, because for now, unfortunately, it looks quite chaotic, but it's an aggregator where you can upload the information about the amount of waste you have on this or that construction site. The participants that have the license to perform such kind of works offer their services with the help of integration through Gosuslugi to check that this company can legally perform the works, and then we check where the waste comes from, where it is brought to, and then the company which is involved in recycling can come up with a utilization and recycling statement. So when the statement is uploaded, and then the recycling starts. We have signed an agreement to launch the system in the Republic of Tatarstan, Kirovsk region, Rostov region, and Khanty-Mansiysk autonomous region. We are also planning to implement the same project in the Central Federal District. I'm sure that in the next year, 40 or 50 regions of Russia will join the project to bring it to order. Hopefully, you will bring the order to the construction waste recycling. And we have two questions to Polina and Artur. Maybe the first question was to Polina, and the second question is addressed to Artur. The question goes like that. A drone is controlled by a person. Is it expected that some kind of automation will be used for drones? Minimum digitalization or the participation of a human being will be minimal. Thank you very much for your question. It's a very good question. Of course, the final goal is to automatize it completely. We are now developing a system which in automatic mode will fly the drones. An unmanned drone is a technology of high level of readiness. We still have a lot of things to do, but we know cases when drones can fly in automatic mode without any participation of a human. So I think that in the future, even in the nearest future, something like that is possible. You know, 10 years ago, we could not imagine, well, maybe we could imagine, but we didn't know that it would be possible so quickly that drones would do a lot of useful things for us. Everything will happen. I mean, automation of drones will happen, and technologies develop really quickly. We just have to wait a little bit. Okay, thank you very much, Polina. There's another question, and it goes like that. The question is to Artur. How drones can make the coverage of the objects? Do they make the shooting from above, or do they do difficult maneuvers, or can they make a shooting from different points? Well, it's an interesting question. Actually, it's related to the application of drones, just to follow the logics. I want to answer the first question. Polina gave you the right answer, but the most important thing is as follows. Drones are controlled by people, but now it works so that a pilot programs the flight mission before the flight itself, and drone flies automatically. There are a lot of startups because, you know, we have contacts in Silicon Valley, and we know how this industry is developing there. Here in Russia, we are also in technological clusters. There are startups, courageous guys like Rudron, for example, that makes drone ports, Micralia, and an Italian company with Russian founders. They make boxes which automatically analyze the weather, open, the drones fly, return back, the box closes, and they upload the data. It's already there. I mean, maybe the production is not stable yet. And as far as your second question is concerned, again, it's correct because in some cases we use drones only to make shootings from above, and we give a picture of the site, so it's some kind of a bird's eye view. But there's also beta testing with Nornickel company when drones fly in closed spaces like shafts, for example, or warehouses to analyze the situation inside. And then we can scan the space, for example, in Chernobyl. nuclear power station, so places where it is dangerous for people to go, but drones can fly there. You can fly to the shafts, to the wells. You don't know the configuration there, and drones can use sensors to navigate their way in spaces. That's beta testing. It's not the main production yet. Maybe in some cases they have some kind of production, but it's not massively used around. Thank you very much. Cool. Thank you very much for such detailed answers. A question from me, and it's a question to everyone. We'll check who wants to take it. As a main editor of Strelka magazine that tracks various areas of development, we face a situation that officials or big business sometimes do not want to implement some sustainable technologies, and they hide behind the argument of them being expensive. If I am an official right now, how would you explain it to me that it's profitable for business to get involved in sustainable solutions for the cities? Artyom, would you like to start? Artyom, don't forget to unmute yourself. Yeah, sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. I would rephrase it for business and for the city. The question is not if it is profitable or not. There's no question if they should use it or not. Without technologies like that, you can hardly imagine life at all. From the point of view of savings, we spent about 60 million and we saved 10 billion rubles. So you can calculate how much money we spent and how much money we saved. And it's not only about saving, but digital technologies are just here to stay. Well, they're part of our world, and a lot of cases would not be implemented without them. Would you like to add something? Would you like to add something to what Artyom just said? Polina? Artur, Polina, please. Okay, thank you, Artur. I can give you an example, and it's a practical case. It's a practical case of how it looks like in Gazprom Neft, and why our company doesn't ask questions about technologies being expensive or if it's needed to use them or not. So we, for example, film our sites, our construction sites, and there are quite a lot of resource fields being developed, and according to my background, I'm a geodetic engineer, and I can tell you that topographic surveys require really a lot of time. It takes about 1 month to make all kinds of works needed there to create necessary documentation. And now let's imagine how a drone does it. The operator arrives there. In the course of 2 days, the drone is piloted. It might be even 1 day. Sometimes it happens like that. Then the data comes to our center. In the majority of cases, I process them, and I can definitely tell you that data processing takes about several days. So we get a complete filming of the future construction site within 1 or 2 weeks. If it works for the geodetic survey, then it is perfect. And if it's a real geodetic survey engineer, then it will take him or her 2 or 3 months to do the same. Plus, they work in difficult conditions, because in the majority of cases, our fields are located in remote areas in the north of Russia, and it's not really profitable to send our experts there. And it's about time, and time is also money. So we do not ask a question to ourselves whether we should use such technologies or not. I'm sure that officials love figures and practical examples. You managed to prove that your approach is right. Artur, would you like to add something? Yes. And this is how I would pitch this idea. If you are an official, I would ask you a question. Sonia, and are you a courageous person? Are you ready to take the risk to implement the the technologies? Well, officials don't work with risks. Officials don't have chances to take risks. Actually, they have it. You can take money from the budget and invest them and do nothing. And if it's nothing, then you can get jailed, or if it's an unsuccessful project, then you will not grow in your career ladder. So it's about career, and the risks are there. That's why I would ask this question to you, and depending on your answer, I would continue the dialogue. If you are a brave person, I would offer you to launch a pilot project for 3 months and calculate the economic effect. And then we could prove the economic profitability of the project, and then present the project to higher officials. And I think that the project could be really successful. So you have to make small investments at the beginning, to take a small risk at the beginning, and then prove that the project is right. And then on the basis of that, I will offer a bigger contract. Well, I would be happy to participate in this conversation for a long time. Thank you very much for this dynamic, though really short discussion. We have to continue, and in 10 minutes, we are going to have the final session. The final session will be about how governs the cities nowadays. But I would like to express my gratitude to all the speakers. Thank you very much, and we move on to the next session.